Hey everyone, it's Jamie from IndependenceStTarot and Seasons and Ritual, and I'm here to talk about the 8/8 Lionsgate on this day, August 8th. Um, it is seen as a portal. It is an energetic portal. Also, in reality, it is when our sun, Sirius, the star Sirius and the Earth would all align. And I don't know now, I don't know if it still does, but it used to line up with the Pyramids of Giza and with the Sphinx. They'd all be in perfect alignment. And so that's when you hear like of the Sirius Gateway, Sirius portals. And then we have the 8/8 Lions Gate. So for me, every month has a portal. So when it's the repeating date, so on January 1st, it'd be 1/1 would be the portal for January, 3/3, 7/7, all those things. So in this year, actually, the portal on 7/7 was a 7/7/7 portal because 2023 adds up to the number 7, but I digress. Okay, so the 8/8 Lionsgate to me is always a time of stillness, reflection, and seeing where we want to go forward. If you put the number 8 on its side, it is the infinity symbol, and the number 8 is a mystic number in and of itself. And so I pulled the strength card out of in the tarot, and you can see it has the destiny symbol, the number 8, and you can see this woman soothing this lion. The other great thing about the 8/8 portal is that it is in Leo season, and so it is to me bringing in the attributes of a higher Leo vibration. So Leo is fixed fire, and in its lower Leo vibrations, it's very egotistical. And so in its higher vibrations, though, it is love, it is understanding, it is vulnerability, it is steadiness, it is steadfast, being steadfast. And I had been talking when we did the thing, when I did the update with Helen, our weekly update, we were talking about bringing in the energy of Sekhmet. And Sekhmet is an Egyptian goddess with the lion's head. And she was the goddess of war, but also the goddess of creation, peace, love. You guys can Google her. And so it is important I think, with this Lionsgate portal to understand really this deeper meaning of love, this deeper meaning of what it means to go to war, right? But I think it also brings in this idea of ending the war within yourself, this idea of becoming more vulnerable with the self. I had a really interesting morning this morning. I was in my back room and my dog Thomas was standing in the doorway, and I have a tiny little backyard. It's just, I call it my little postage stamp. It's a tiny backyard. And I had the door open this morning because in the morning I like to keep the doors open, but I can't keep it open too long because, as we know, it's hot, very hot. And he had walked over and was standing in the doorway. You know how dogs do when they go out and they just start to sniff the air, which I think is just so cute and funny. And then that's them like reading what's going on, what's going on outside. And so, but my perspective looking at them, it was like 2D almost, because the way the fence goes and then the trees in the background. And so I was like staring right at the situation happening. And what I did was I kind of just let my eyes focus, like kind of soften, and I allowed for things to come more into a 3D focus, if you will. And I saw Thomas being there, being his little Thomas dog self, sniffing. And really just allowing himself to be enveloped with the world, with the scenery, with what was around him. He wasn't scared. He didn't think he had to meet it head on and eye to eye and be on high alert. He just walked up there, looked around, started sniffing, like, what's happening? And he felt safe. He felt like, okay, he's going to get the information he needs. If there's something he needs to be aware of, he's going to get it because he's out there sniffing. but he didn't meet the world with fear and tension and anger and aggression. And all those feelings are very easily to have right now, honestly, any time of our life. And so with this 8-8 Lionsgate, I'm asking for us to start to recognize when we're living in those emotions, when they start coming into our lives, what causes them to come into our lives, whether it's our own stories of ourselves or just the situations we put ourselves in. And it is just to acknowledge it without judgment, right? And be like, oh, wow, this is one of those situations, blood pressure through the roof, or I'm being gaslit, or I'm scared to go to the grocery store because all I hear about is crime, all those things, right? And just notice that. And if you can start to recognize these things and noticing them, then we can start working on releasing that tension, releasing just moving in fear. We can release the idea that we're separated from Earth, we're separated from Source, we're separated from the things that are going to keep us safe. The more that we start to trust and relax and honor our heart space, the more we become reconnected with spirit, with source, with our higher selves, and the more we become connected with this feeling of safety. And then and that allows us, allows our nerves, honestly, to like go down, but it also allows us to remember what it's like to be taken care of and to be nurtured. And this is one of the, I think, main themes. You can see this woman, and because it has strength, right? And we think of strength meeting something head on, meeting something eye to eye, meeting something mano y mano, if you will. I probably said that wrong, but showing up. And there's nothing wrong with showing up, and there's nothing wrong with arising to the challenge in these things. At the same time, there is a great strength in nurturing and relaxing and seeing that if you can surrender to the whole that is bigger than you, if you can surrender to Earth, if you can surrender to the power of love, that is what's going to keep you safe, and that is what's going to keep you nourished, and that's what's going to keep you on your toes. And I know this is a big ask because I live in 2023. I know. At the same time, it is a portal, right? It is this time of setting intentions. It is this time of understanding that in showing up in our destiny and our strength, and in this evolution, we can start moving into another curve of the infinity symbol. And so this would be a good time. You can set these intentions. I set the intention to allow myself to listen to my thoughts. I set the intention to allow myself to settle more into my heart space. I allow myself to listen to see what my heart space says to me and what it means to me. And all these things, you guys, are just little things at a time. And when they click, it opens up a whole new doorway. It opens up this idea that you're not alone. It opens up the reality that you're not separated. It opens up this way of being in your heart that you don't have to constantly keep trying to figure things out. This morning I was extremely gaslit. Like through the roof. And I'm texting my friend and I'm like, this is gaslighting me, right? And it's okay. It started out as a tiny flame, and then it went to Gaslight City, and then it went back to a tiny flame. And the thing was, I told the person who was gaslighting me, by the way, this is very gaslighting. And they were like, oh, they said they were sorry, and I trust that. And at the same time, the thing that I had to like stop at myself, because you guys, I was getting amped up, I had to say, none of these are my stories. Like when I got gaslit, it was like all these things that, oh, they think this and that, and how they're, and then I was just like, hey, none of those are my stories. And whatever this person thinks, I don't care. That's on them. Right. And that was me giving myself grace. That was me giving myself a timeout. That was me in telling my ego, I don't have to meet this eye to eye. I don't have to show up and be like, oh, you know what? this and that and the other. Nope. That was me saying, hey, Jamie, this is really upsetting you. This is gaslighting you. Let's just take you over here. Take a few deep breaths. Don't start going down that rabbit hole of stories and all this stuff. And then, it was almost like my inner self was looking at my other self, the other self that was saying, hey, just relax, and saying, like, we got to figure this out. And then the other self looked at me and said, no, we don't. No, we don't. All we know is that this gaslights the living shit out of you. That's all that matters. Give yourself some grace, give yourself some courtesy, give yourself some nurture and some love. And know you've done plenty of work on this situation. You don't need to stay in that energy of gaslighting, trying to figure it out in your mind. And I thought, God damn, thanks, self. Thank you. Thank you for that. That was very loving and that was very nurturing. And I mean, that went and then out. The fire was gone. But it was because I gave myself that grace to say, hey, you don't need to figure this out. This same scenario has gaslighted me my whole fucking life, right? And the difference is I know it, I see it, and I don't need to fucking figure it out in my mind, and that's not spiritual bypassing. That is not, fill in the blank, okay? Especially when we have been working on these things, especially when we are empathetic, especially, all these things. If you're working on situations and it comes back and it gaslights you, I just said to myself, Jamie, what do we need to do in order not to get gaslight by this? Because this is gaslighting you because it's coming to your attention in order for you to let it go. And I just said to myself, we can just let it go. I don't give a shit about these people. I mean, they're my family. So, I mean, I kind of give a shit about them. But, at the same time, those stories and everything that revolves around them that was getting me worked up, I know has nothing to do with me. It's all about their stories and them and how they feel about themselves or whatever. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. What matters is that I can step away from it, even though, I mean, it burnt my ass up there for a good 20 minutes, but I stepped away from it and I'm okay. And I gave myself that grace. I was this lion that was getting ready to pounce. And then this was like my higher self coming in and like, shh, it's okay. And you have to have that strength in order to look at yourself and say, shh, it's okay. That heart of that lion is always there. Sekhmet knows, right? If you're working with Sekhmet, she knows when it's time to pounce. She also knows when it's time just to sit and lick her paws. It's the same thing. It's all there within us. And the thing is, it is about this balance, right? It is about this infinity symbol that's always moving. It's not stagnant. There are times where you need to show up and face something eye to eye. But there's also other times where you can just sit on your doorstep and be in wonder of the earth and know that you are held and know that you are loved and know that you are connected with spirit. It's all there. It's all there. So with this 8-8 Lionsgate, I encourage you guys to touch back into your heart, touch back into this heart space, understand that having strength is letting things go within you that you've worked on, letting things go within you that maybe you don't want to work on anymore, as in like, yeah, when someone says that, it's probably going to light you up. At the same time, if you can give yourself that space and look at it, understand it and let it go, but also understand that the world at large is really full of love. Love is love. We often say, this is love, that is love, but the reality of it, the energy of love is always love, right? The energy of fire is always fire. And so with this 8-8 Lionsgate, ask for it to come in and to get rebalanced. Ask for it to come in and set the intention to show you what your strength is. Set the intention to hand things over and surrender. The greatest strength you can do is just surrender it. I surrender this to Gaia. Thomas went to the door and he was just sniffing around, surrendering surrendering it to the earth. Like it was going to tell him if there was a predator. I don't know what predator there would be in the old neighborhood, but whatever. But you know, if you go quietly like a cat, and listen, it's going to give you all the information you need. And if you're saying, Jamie, I'm on fucking 11 right now, not even 10, I'm on 11. I'm got to get the kids back to school. I got to do this. I got to do that. You know, I'm changing my entire life. Great. Know that you're there. And then set the intention with this Lionsgate energy to give you that courage and that strength and that honor to know how to navigate this. And you can just say, I'm setting the intention to ask my higher self to show me what it feels like to navigate this wholeheartedly, right? Because Leo rules the heart, you know. Leo also rules the left eye. Leo is strength and emotion, you know, which is a beautiful yin yang energy, even though it presents as masculine. But when it presents as masculine, it is saying there is movement with this. My dog's sneezing. So let this movement happen. Let it happen naturally. If you guys are stuck on something, surrender it. I didn't have to figure out why this was fucking gaslighting me. I just surrendered it. It will figure itself out. I trust. I trust that it'll make sense, and I trust that I'm still going to move on with my life no matter what, right? Bring in the power, that strength of soothing, okay? Especially soothing the self. Okay, you guys, this is going to be a busy week. We had our Monday astrology report, and then today we have the 8/8 Lionsgate. Tomorrow I'll come back on with a weekly update. So just allow things to keep moving. Just allow things to keep moving. Allow things to keep showing up at their own pace. There is no wrong time to do something. You know, people come with me with like, is this the right time? And the answer is yes, it's the right time. It is always the right time. When you start to surrender and you can do some deep breaths, you know, even in the car. Let's do a breathing exercise just real quick. Actually, I meant to do this. One thing you can do, especially if you're on 10 and you're like, Jamie, I do, and not Jamie, but like yourself, I do want to get back in touch. I do want to get my heart center up and moving. Just take your hands, put them over your heart. And when you take a deep breath in, just say, breathing in, I'm breathing in. So you'd be like, breathing in, I'm breathing in. And breathing out, I'm breathing out. And just do that 3 times. And then breathing in your mind, you're saying, when I'm breathing in, I'm breathing in. I'm breathing out, I'm breathing out. And what that does is just it gives your brain a 2-second reset. It allows your heart to start pumping more, right? It grounds you, it resets your energy. And that's all you have to do. Listen, when I was on 20, not even 10, on 20, that's how I started regulating myself. It was just saying, breathing in, I'm breathing in, and breathing out, I'm breathing out. And I learned that from Thich Nhat Hanh. You know, that was reconnecting with the breath, reconnecting with the self. That was showing myself some surrender, right? I didn't have to keep thinking about everything. I knew there was a higher power than me, and so I was surrendering to it in those 3 breaths, right? Allowing it to reconnect, take my brain out of the situation and start to reconnect. And it's really that small and it's really that quick, you guys. So it doesn't have to be this huge, you know, thing you've got to do every single day. It's just when those moments when you realize you're a little frazzled, do your breathing. Return to your breath, return to yourself, return to your home. Know that you are nurtured and know that you are loved. Even if you don't know what that feels like or looks like or sees like, spirit does. And it's always here for you. The earth is always here for you. Your breath is always here for you. Okay, now I'm going to leave it at that. If you guys have any questions, be sure to reach out. Like I said, I'll see you guys tomorrow. We've got the new moon coming up as well. So just try to take it one day at a time. See the strength and the surrender. See the strength and the nurturing. Until next time.